Alright everyone, so finally got some snow this year, and I'm going to be the crazy guy that goes out in the Cayman. We have probably 3 or 4 inches, maybe 5 on the ground. It's a perfect amount where obviously it's not too deep for the Cayman, but there's probably still going to be some roads that have snow cover and things like that. So let's dive in and go for a drive, running out for some stuff at the grocery store on a snowy day with a sports car. Should be good. All right, so I've been driving for about 45 minutes. The hardest part, like usual, is getting out of the driveway. We have a 1/4 mile long driveway, and I had about 5 inches of snow on it. This is definitely a momentum car because it's rear-wheel drive. Even with winter tires, obviously going to be some limitations like the ground clearance on this car. But you know, just like a front-wheel drive car, getting going is going to be your hardest part, and then you know the winter tires help with that. But then turning and braking and just general stability on the road is where these tires really help you shine and really make it a 4-season car if you want it to be. A lot of people don't want it to be, and that's fine. I believe I want to drive my car as much as possible, even though people think I'm crazy for driving this car in the winter. But I love it, and I'm going to keep driving it. I'm going to stop here for some groceries, then we're going to head home. All right, so we just did a grocery run in the snow. And everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. But with the right tires, you can do whatever, almost whatever you want. Now, a couple things that are kind of tips to go by when driving a rear-wheel drive car in the snow, or even front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, really. Some tips. Stability or traction control is not always your friend. Especially in this car when momentum or trying to get any kind of extra traction is crucial when starting. Sometimes traction control and stability control can really limit your success. So when I'm getting started, I usually have stability control turned off. That way, if I need to, a little bit of wheel slip is okay. And then once I'm going, sometimes I turn it back on. And that's something you can do for any vehicle. Now, when it's turned off, you do have to be attentive. In case there is some wheel slip, you have to know how to respond to that and react to it. Because a lot of systems are kind of dumb, and all they do is they cut power. And sometimes if you're just trying to get going, you have to sacrifice a little bit of wheel spin to achieve the results you want as far as accelerating and things like that. So that's one of the things that I do. So now let's head home. The hardest part was, as I said earlier, leaving the driveway. And so when I get home, it should be okay because it's kind of all downhill from the road. But it is a 1/4 mile long, and I don't think we've accumulated much since I left in the past hour, maybe hour and a half. But that'll be the hardest part. So a little bit of wheel spin as I'm accelerating through all 4 of those gears, but a little bit of throttle control, and we got up to speed without any issues. So as you can see, these roads are a little slushy. It's been snowing all night. We've got several inches of snow. The roads have been attended to intermittently throughout the day, which is normal. They probably have put some ice melt down, but it's kind of irrelevant right now. And now I'm being held up by an SUV. We're doing 26 miles an hour. We really can't be going a whole lot slower before we're stopped. I mean, either you need to replace your tires because they're too low, or you need the better tires, or you're just afraid to drive. Normally I would turn right here, but there are a couple of hills that may present a challenge, so I'm going to go the long way home. And I would encounter that challenge even if I was in a front-wheel drive car. So it's not like it's because it's a sports car that I would have a challenge there. Yes, that would be one place that all-wheel drive would help, but it's one of the few places where I really have to think about how I'm driving and where I'm driving in this car. Otherwise, I can drive anywhere most other people can drive. I'm due for a 15,000 mile ownership update here shortly, another 500 miles or so, so expect that out in not too distant future. And so we were just braking downhill where they were. That's a place where you might want to consider just coasting and not braking, because that could cause some, you know, it could actually cause you to lose traction if you brake. Now, obviously, if you're going too fast, then you want to slow down when you crest the hill. That way, when you descend the hill, you can coast. That way, you're not causing any disruptions in the traction. If the tires lose traction on their own, that is one thing, but if you decide you have to brake to maintain your speed, that could disrupt the tire traction. Whereas if you did your braking at the top of the hill, maybe reduced gear, and then coasted down the hill, you're probably going to be in better shape that way. That guy was looking at me like, what are you doing? A train of 4 cars, myself, the Sierra in front of me, and then 2 SUVs. Doing less than 30 miles an hour. This is a speed that, under certain conditions, if you're going uphill in a front-wheel drive car, that's where you would start spinning and lose momentum and then stop in the middle of the hill and cause a bunch of traffic. So in the conditions like that, when you want to go uphill like we are approaching shortly, that's actually where, on the level area right where we are now, you want to actually increase your speed so you can carry some momentum up the hill. That way, if you do lose some speed, you're not going to come to a stop in a lot of situations. I mean, we're just losing speed when we really don't have to be. There's no reason to be slowing down. Even all-season tires can handle the road conditions we have now. But these are road conditions where some people would say the roads are terrible. They're horrible. Don't go out driving. They're fine. It's just them, you know, a little bit of slush and some snow. Like, there's no reason you can't drive in this. Granted, I'm always the optimistic, and I love to drive in any kind of snow. But there are places where you literally cannot see the road surface, unlike right now. And people drive perfectly fine. Some places in the winter, they have constant snowpack on the roads of about 1 inch. And people do just fine. These roads are not terrible. So that Chevy Equinox up there has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars behind it. If you have a train, you're probably going too slow and should be off the road. Sorry. Yes, I'm ranting. This is another area, like I said, braking downhill. You want to avoid it, especially right now. I don't know if you can tell in camera, but there's a camber towards the right side of the road, and if you get caught out when you're braking, you could slide off the road there and into one of those poles. Whereas if you just coast down the hill, maybe downshift at the top of the hill, you're going to just get out fine in most scenarios, and you don't have to brake. So what have we learned from this little journey? Well, at the risk of feeling like I'm ranting all the time, this cannot do what my Outback could do with proper tires. This cannot do what, you know, a Jeep can do with proper tires. No, it doesn't have the ground clearance for that, but we don't live in Alaska, we live in Pennsylvania, and so I can drive this car year-round without having any problems. It's just a matter of getting the right tires. And you can do the same thing too. You don't have to put your car away for the winter. You don't have to buy an SUV for days where that happen about 3 times a year like this. You don't have to drive with limits. You don't have to drive a boring car. But you already know how I feel about all of that. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Comment down below with how stupid you think I am, or how much you hate my ranting, or whatever else you feel like commenting. So look forward to my next video. Again, it is going to be the 15,000 mile update, and let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Thanks.